Welcome to R&B Playback. This is the first episode in my new podcast series where I'm inviting friends in to essentially play back some classic R&B albums, talk about them, do a little deep dive into some of our favorites. For my first episode, I have my amazing friend. She's talented, she's funny, she's gorgeous. Josephine, welcome, welcome, Joe.
Hello, hello. I mean, this is your first episode and you didn't even introduce yourself.
Oh my God, I did not. Okay, so let's try that. Yeah, right. Good call. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I'm Das. I am a Bronx native, live in DC right now, but I am a fan of all things R&B, specifically 90s R&B. So this podcast, Joe feels me. So this podcast will really focus heavily on 90s R&B, just the soul, the bridges, the lyrics, the vibes. 90s is unmatched. So that's the purpose of
Yes.
this podcast, right? Is to
Yes.
explore that, to really deep dive into it. I've actually wanted to do this for a really, really long time, but just nerves, situations. But this
You
feels
got this. You
the best
got
time to
this.
do it. And I invited Joe because I feel like Joe is a great person to kick it off. She is entertaining. She's a music lover just like me. So I feel like we'll have really, really good conversation. So thank you for reminding me to intro myself because I
Yes.
definitely forgot.
Of course, you're the star, but thank you. I am so honored to be here, honored to be your first guest. You use my full government name, but everyone knows at UConn, call me Joe. You can find me on all social medias with that handles. But yeah, just call me Joe for everyone out there. Lover of R&B as well. I pretty much don't listen to anything past a certain year because we grown. And
Okay.
R&B is just not the same anymore because people don't go to church anymore. That's one reason. But yeah, let's.
But I just want to hit on that real quick because I had a homegirl yesterday. She's like, "Do you listen to gospel?" I was like, "Not really." Like, I just didn't grow up in church, Catholic
Right.
church, and Catholic church was not playing the gospel, the soul gospel. So I didn't grow up with gospel. But she was like, "Well, all of your favorites." I was like, "Girl, you right. Faith Evans, like
Hmm.
Whitney Houston, like the girls ain't. Are they just not growing up in church?"
They're not going to church. I mean, I get it. There's a lot of hypocrisy within the church or whatnot. Yeah, I get it. But I do believe like a lot of 90s R&B, especially like all these vocalists, because now there's really not vocalists
Okay.
nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so in the 90s, yeah, all those vocalists, they pretty much like their school of learning how to sing was in the church. And since I just feel like because a lot of people are kind of going away from the church and being more spiritual based or whatnot, they're not getting that. We don't have A&Rs anymore. The girls are just getting famous by doing something funny on TikTok these days. So I feel like, yeah, it's diluting. We don't got bridges no more, but whatever. That's another.
I know. I think listen, we're gonna say that because I think we could really talk about just how it's changed and like what we see the differences. Sometimes I feel like my parents when I'm like, and this was the best music. They don't make music as good anymore.
Don't.
But I really don't feel bad saying that because I don't. Yeah, I'm not feeling the emotional pull that like I get when I go back to some 90s stuff. Like they were singing their hearts out, which leads me to the album we're going to be talking about today. I think one of both of our favorite vocalists, Brandy, the Vocal Bible.
Yes, yes. Underrated vocalist.
Listen, so today we're going to be going through and dissecting and just kind of talking about Never Say Never. I mean, it's hands down one of the most classic R&B albums, like so influential from the writing, the storytelling, the emotion. Brandy, one thing I love about Brandy, she going to make you feel the song. Like,
Yes, yeah.
like, and I remember just even, and all of her catalog, like, I'll look at the lyrics. I'm one of those people I want to see who wrote, who produced. On songs she doesn't write, she sings it like she wrote it. Where, like, sometimes and I've done it, like, I can't, I'm sure there are a couple of songs. 211 is also a great album. But anyway, where I'm like, she's singing this. Who wrote, did she write this? And I'm like, she didn't, but she emotes so well that, like, amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, I think she's one of those people, like with other producers, other songwriters, they really do enjoy working with her. And maybe that's why, like, at least with like her connection with like Rodney Jerkins, I know like he talks a lot about Never Say Never. And he said like he would just push and push. And that's what Brandy wanted. And I think because of that, when we listen to some of the songs that she sings, it does sound like she's writing the song because the producer or the songwriter is pushing her and she's ready for the task. So yeah.
Yeah, which I think they brought the best out of each other for this album. So before we dive in, when you hear Brandy Never Say Never, like do you have a core memory that pops up about that album?
Yes. So I mean, you also mentioned also another Bronx native, Bronx girly
Okay,
here.
BX.
Yeah, yeah, do or die.
Okay.
And so yeah, Never Say Never. I remember distinctively like the summer. I know it came out in 98, but I remember like really playing the song a lot in the summer of 99, which is actually like a pretty transformational summer for me. It was the summer my mom had passed, so was going through like a lot of emotions or whatnot, but like this album brought me like so much joy. And it's so funny is that like I think I was like 11 at the time. I didn't have money to buy CDs. A lot of my music taste is based on having an older sister who's 10 years older than me, and so I would like listen to this album that she brought when she wasn't looking. Like I don't know, I just remember like the summers in the Bronx kind of like listening to this album, and yeah, just like a lot of the joy that it brought me in like a time in my life when I was like so sad. So yeah, I have both happy and sad memories when it comes to this album.
I love that though, because I definitely, for me at least, and I feel like we've talked about this before, music is really the soundtrack of my life. I can like put certain songs and albums that really like tie into a memory or an emotion. So I feel like we both had that. Like it's just like it connects you to something, you know?
Yeah.
For me, I just remember I was at school, New Music Tuesday. Um, I would always give her, be like, "Hey, girl, this album's coming out. Can you go pick it up?" I remember she
Hmm.
went and got me the album because I think she
Yes.
got it at Best Buy. And like back in the day when they sold CDs, they had like a little promo. So with hers, it was
Let's talk about that
yes,
because I think that's missing today too,
it
is
is.
that people don't have to go outside to get music. It was like new music was an experience. Like you say, Tuesday, Beyonce changed that.
She
Like,
did. She did.
let's give her credit. She changed when music came out. And yeah, this whole experience, like either you're going to like a Best Buy or a Tower Records, and either like back in the day you could like listen to snippets of an album
Yeah.
before you even brought the album, and like nowadays it's like it's just on your phone right away. So like yeah, I definitely like that's also something that's missing too. So
Absolutely. I remember honestly, like, so with that album, it came with like a 10-minute phone card. What was I using the phone card for? Who knows? But I wanted the one with the phone card. But I remember I would like on Sundays, my parents would get the paper and it would have like all the circulars, right? And so I would go through like all the different stores, Circuit City, Best Buy, and see like which store had like the best promo. Cause some CDs would have like bonus tracks or a bonus CD or a DVD. So like it just was also this big, it was like for me, it was this exciting thing to look forward to whenever new music was coming out. But so for that, my mom went and bought the album for me. And just listening to it, I was in high school at the time. And it definitely had not dated or done any of those things. When I say, of course, the first single, "The Boy Is Mine," right? Like, I think for everybody, like seeing Brandy and Monica just kind of so grown. We all were watching. I'm sure you were watching. We were watching Moesha. So,
yes.
okay, so we
My braids, I used to get my braids, whatever she had. I would be like, Mom, I want my braids like Brandy's this month.
okay. She was a trendsetter, like honestly, a trendsetter. And so watching her on Moesha, and then of course we knew her first album, but like The Boy's Mind came out, and I just remember in high school we were all like, "Have you heard it? Have you heard it?" Like I definitely had the CD single. They both just looked so mature. The song was, it was also just a good song.
Yeah,
Like hearing
a
these
good bop.
a good, okay, as the kids say,
Yeah.
but like a good like two of our favorite artists that collaborated on a song that was really, really good. And I remember us all, I definitely was obsessed with it. The video was everything to me.
Yes, Mackay Pfeiffer, a fine young Mackay
Okay.
Pfeiffer.
Okay. I'd be fighting over him too back then. But just the way even the way they shot the video, like, there are different scenarios. But so the album came out and I remember having it on repeat nonstop. Like, I mean, Angel in Disguise, that's the opening track,
A
right?
holy grail. Like, yeah.
Like Joe on background vocals.
Joe, yes.
Okay.
Top three male vocalist in my
Yes,
opinion.
I know that's
So
one of your
yeah.
favorites is Joe. Yes. But like Joe on background vocal, and just because that song, actually, I remember I was living in Virginia at the time. So like DC radio was playing Angel in Disguise all the time. And it was just something about it was kind of haunting the way it came in. And then you hear, and it's, I don't know, just a beautiful song about another woman, right? A great way to kick off the album.
Hmm.
And then she goes into, what is it, Angel in Disguise, Boy's Mind, because I feel like I remember track list. And
Yeah.
then I think it's Almost Doesn't Count, right? Or is it Learn the Hard Way?
It might be. Well, you know, we
Let me
got
pull
our
it up.
phones. Let's just check it. Yes, you're right. Learn the hard way is right after Boy Is Mine, and then Almost Doesn't Count.
Yes.
So she's coming out with banger, 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 banger.
And storytelling, right? You're getting the sense that this is like a breakup album.
Yeah.
In my opinion, a breakup album is always going to be a good album. It's going to hit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And this felt like a breakup album. And I definitely loved Learn the Hard Way. I really did. But when that almost doesn't count comes in,
Yeah, we want to talk about songs on the album that like I really love. I kind of want to go back to The Boy Is Mine. I think I love The Boy Is Mine as a single. Like, yes, like the video, even like the drama between her and Monica, like added to the fuel of the
absolutely.
song, and I thought it made the record even better. But when it comes to the album, I almost like I don't know if like for you, but I oftentimes skip singles like on albums, and I go straight into the album. So oftentimes when I'm playing this album, I don't skip a lot, but if I had to skip a song, I always do skip The Boy's Mine just because at that point, back in the day, because another thing that's so different with music now is that everybody, there's music, there's so much content out there.
Yes.
Whereas back in the day, like I feel like if you were the it person, there were like 25 songs that played on the radio, and those were the only 25 songs you
Yes.
heard all the time.
Yes.
And so The Boy Is Mine, I remember on like 97, they would play it every hour. And I was just like, okay. Like by the time
But
the
then the
album
album came
closed, I
out.
was like, I've had enough. Angel in Disguise, like that was I ran that song through the floor. And till this day, I still play that song to the floor just because, like, again, like you said, there's like this haunting feeling, but then like the velvetyness of her voice and Joe's backgrounds, like, I loved it. But yes, almost doesn't count. There have been breakups that I've had in life, and I've just played almost doesn't count over and over and over again because like it's so good. I love the Latin guitar in it. Even the video. The video to me almost didn't make sense, but I loved the song so much that I didn't really care. I just wanted to see visuals to one of my favorite songs. And I was doing research on like the songwriter who wrote it. I forget her name, but she's written for like Pink, Christina Aguilera, a bunch of people. And she pretty much wrote the song from a boyfriend she had in college where she was like, oh, I think he's the love of my life, blah, blah, blah. But they never like got it together. And so like, you hear a lot of that in the song. I think when I was younger, I didn't really understand the song, but as you get older, like the song like really hits like a lot different.
It does. I definitely, I'm like, now I want to look up to see,
Yeah.
because, I love looking up. That's what one thing too I loved about albums is like the
Hmm.
credits, like who's writing it,
Hmm.
who is it,
Who's producing?
who's producing,
Uh-huh.
like, but that song definitely, let's see, Shelly Pickin, I'm gonna probably,
Yeah.
oh, she also wrote Come On Over by Christina Aguilera.
Hmm.
We love that.
Okay. Yes.
Um, but yeah, that song, like, again, it just was an emotional pull. And I had never, again, hadn't dated, no breakups. By the time I was like, this
Hmm.
song is heavy. For sure, after some breakups, this album definitely came into rotation.
Hmm.
It was just such a, I mean, we've all heard the phrase almost doesn't count. So I think it just like really like hit. And again, her vocals, like Brandy has a way, she did not write on the song, but she has a way of just emoting it. And like you said, I'm sure Rodney was pushing her. He's, I think, one of the executive producers on the album. So like,
Yeah.
a way of really pushing to get the best out of her. And I think he really did.
Yeah. I think him and his brother are on like maybe like seven or eight, maybe even nine of the songs on the album have either produced, written, or had some part in crafting the album. So yeah.
It's Jerkins coded, baby,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all the way down. I feel like we could talk about the whole album, but I'm curious to know, and this is going to be tough. If you had to just pick your top 3 tracks from the album,
Okay.
what would they be?
So I think I've already talked, and I'm looking at my phone because I'm like, let me just go back and
Okay.
look at the track list. And Angel in Disguise again because I ran that song down the ground.
Yeah.
I think I have to still go with Almost Doesn't Count. I just like really, really, really love the song. Now the third one, this is where it gets really, really, really tricky for me.
Okay.
And I just don't know because if there was a gun put to my head, I guess I would have to say put that on everything. I really, really love, but like
Mm,
I know, right? I
I
mean, right?
mean,
But I mean, I could go with Never Say Never. I really do love that song. Top of the World. I think it's just a really fun, and I that's almost on every like summer playlist I have.
yeah.
So like that could have went, but yeah, if there's a gun, yeah, I'm gonna go with put that on everything, and let's put that on everything. Yes.
Okay. And it's funny enough because put that on everything is my number one. Like,
Mm,
if I go to this album, I'm usually going to that song first and then starting it over. But it's my, I'm a romantic, I'm a
yes.
lover. That song
Yes.
pulls at me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you're looking to find a love that will stand to the end of time,
Time,
I'm like,
baby,
relax
relax
your
your
mind,
mind. My
girl. Like,
love is
if
here.
I could sing, I would tear it up. But like, that song is definitely hands down my favorite on the album. I think I'm also gonna go with Almost Doesn't Count because I think that is also just like
Mm-hmm. This is why we're friends.
A thousand
Yeah.
percent. We could definitely do a road trip together. There would be no issues on the playlist. Who has the aux? It's fine. It's fine. And then I would say, dang, honestly, I'm almost kind of torn between Never Say Never and Angel in Disguise. But I probably would
Mhm.
say, you know what? I'm going to say it would be Put That on Everything, number one, almost doesn't count, and then Angel in Disguise for sure.
So literally, we have the
We
same
may
list in different
really do.
order.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 'Cause I'm just like, those songs, just like something about it. I don't know. I just, yeah,
Hmm.
yes, no, the album,
Like Rodney and his brother did what they had to
they
do.
did their big one.
And it's so funny that this was like their first like big album. Like this is pretty much what launched Rodney Jerkins, and it's crazy to me that this is well one of his like first works or whatever, because this is what you came out the gate with.
Okay, came out swinging. Because honestly, what it really gives me is a Janet, Jimmy Jam, and Terry Lewis, right? When you
Yes,
find the right producer that like, understands you and knows how to craft music for you vocally, puts you vocally, like you were saying. One thing I love and you love too is a cohesive album where it just
yes,
flows from start to finish. And this album totally does it to me, and it's the Jerkins. Like the Jerkins duo really did their big one coming out the gate, and then honestly, they just kept it going because they had hit after this album. You know, and I was doing research on this album too, just do my Googles, but also watching a couple other podcasts, and it was interesting because I was watching Christina Milian was on a podcast recently, R&B Money, because I love me some Tank.
yeah,
And she was
yes,
talking about living in LA and she knew Rodney Jerkins and she basically was around while he was doing this album and she said he was doing such amazing work. Like she was in awe of what he was creating. So I couldn't imagine to have been around to be around this new young producer who's working with this, established artist because Brandy had
yes.
hits at this point
Right. She had a platinum album before this one.
and a hit TV show. Like she really could have. I'm sure she had her pick of the litter of who she wanted to work with producer
Hmm.
wise. But and I need to probably do some digging as to exactly how they connected. I'm
Hmm.
trying to remember if I knew that story.
I think if I remember, and I'm hoping I'm gonna be right. I know somebody's probably gonna come in the comments and be like, "This bitch, I know what you're talking about." But I feel like he might have worked on an album with Mary J. and
Yes,
that might have caught the eye of somebody at her record label, and then they started working, and then I think Brandy just really liked working with him, and so then she started working with him because I know they were trying to get her at the time. Like Diddy was big, so I know like they were supposed to do stuff, but like there was some conflicts with schedules because like again she's doing Moesha. I think she had just did I Know What You Did Last Summer or whatnot, and so I think I do remember Brandy saying like at that point in her career, she didn't even know if she wanted to still do music just because her acting career was popping off or whatever, and she didn't have the time. And then I think she said once she met Rodney and they started working together, that's when she refell in love with singing again. And so I think that's what kind of had happened, if I remember correctly. I think he worked on a Mary J song.
he did because he worked on Share My World. He did.
Yes,
I feel
yes.
like he might have done one or two tracks on that album,
Hmm.
actually.
Yeah,
Well, I'm glad that she fell back in love with music because that voice in this
right.
album,
But you know what? I think to some parts, I would say it actually worked to her benefit because Brandy self-titled, I love, love, love,
yes,
love that album down. But yeah, it was very like, she was a teenager. You can still kind of hear the innocence in that album. And then, like you said, she like kind of takes a break. She's focusing on her acting career. She's going through some nasty breakups.
we know. Yeah,
Yeah.
some drama there, honey.
Right. Some side joints, whatever. And then you get this album and you really hear the grown-up Brandy in this. And I really think that's also what helped, at least with the sound of this
I
this
think
album.
so. And her fans were growing with her. Like
Yes.
we came from a generation where people started out so young. So like Brandy's like 15. I was probably not even a teen yet, but like I think Brandy and I are like 3 years apart. But so like you're growing with the artist, so you're kind of on a similar journey in like terms of your development and your growth. Like as a teenager, I'm starting to have feelings, and so like hearing
Yeah.
this album, maybe I'm not dating, but I
Yeah.
can comprehend these a little bit more. So like I think also that helped her to continue to grow, and she also Moesha was a big platform for her. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
watched Mo to the E to the
Yes. Yes.
okay.
I remember there was this one time my parents were like, "We don't want you guys watching TV anymore." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Moesha's about to go to prom with Q. I need to see what happens."
Okay.
Like,
There was a lot
yeah,
of drama on that show. You needed to stay
yeah.
up to date. I feel like we would talk about it in school. Did you watch Moesha last night?
Mhm.
It was a thing. I think all of that, she had people already kind of following her and waiting for her because she also didn't sing on Moesha. I feel like I read somewhere that she kind of wanted to make it a point
Purposely.
to have Brandy be separate. She did end up performing
Yeah, you remember
What?
that was that episode where 112 was on there and then she was a guest.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah, she was her own guest on the show, and then they were
exactly.
like, "Oh, Moesha, they say we look alike," and then we were like, I don't see it." Like,
Right,
yeah,
yes, because
yeah,
right. Yes, because I feel like again initially she was just like I wanted to be completely separate, but it was she was still doing the show when Never Say Never came out.
mhm,
So it made sense to cross promotion girl, like go ahead and get your
mhm,
coins.
right,
I actually wish this is a tour I wish I wasn't really going to concerts, but I'm sure this tour was
right,
amazing because Brandy was huge.
huge,
I don't
yeah,
think people realize now the magnitude of a star that Brandy was at the time. I mean, huge. Like you said, she had done I Know We Did Last Summer too, which I love that movie. I love seeing her in it.
yeah,
Spoiler, she survives. But yeah, so for her to come back and then also just really hit us. And she also had so many singles off the album.
yes.
So many singles off the album. Yeah,
Because what it was, The Boy Is Mine,
almost doesn't count.
Almost Doesn't Count, Top of the World.
Have you ever?
Have you ever? Because let's talk about double platinum. If you want to talk about a core memory, that's what I also think.
You think about
Her and Diana Ross,
the
yes.
double platinum. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, because I watched that movie to the ground, and I think I might have tried to watch it recently or whatever, and I was just like, "Girl, you were so stupid." Some of the choices she was making,
I need to
but
run
yeah,
that back. I haven't seen that in forever, but I forgot about that. Again, like at that time to do a movie with Diana Ross, like that's a living legend.
right,
And Andy just kind of shows the level of like how her starlet was continuing to rise.
yes, and the respect she had from all of these incredible R&B icons. Like,
Yes,
also, I think this was around the same time Cinderella came out with Whitney
I
Houston.
think
So,
you're. Yes, yes, and that too. Yes, yes.
like, who was doing it bigger than Brandy at that point?
Honestly, nobody. She was like
Nobody.
everybody want. I mean, we had our R&B girly crew. There was, I
Mhm.
would say, Brandy, Monica, Aaliyah,
Aaliyah.
Maya. To me, that was like my
Yeah, that's
R&B.
the core.
The
Yeah.
core. That's the core,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
But Brandy was really heavily, before Aaliyah got into like movies, whatnot. Brandy was the girl doing the things and
Mm-hmm.
really becoming an all around artist, acting, singing, writing.
Yep.
She was that girl. She was
Yes.
that girl.
And yeah, I think she is the blueprint for a lot of what these other girls are doing right now, and they don't even realize it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, she 1,000%. Because again, she went into different lanes. Like it wasn't because she started out acting first. She was on Thea. I think it was Thea,
Yes,
right?
Thea.
She was
Yes.
taking it back.
Yes.
She was on Thea. I think that was the
Gen
first.
Z's not gonna know what that
They're
is
like,
at
"What
all.
is that?" You could Google it, but, right, I think Thea was her first thing, and then I wanna say then after
Hmm.
that was the album, her
Yeah.
debut album,
Hmm.
and then Moesha, Never Say
Yeah.
Never. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, and this album so actually it's so funny because so one of Joe's best friends, one of my good friends, her favorite artist is Celine Dion. She loves Celine. I mean, Celine's got a
Yeah.
voice, so I'm not even mad. When I was doing my research on the album, one of the songs was actually meant for Celine Dion.
Which one?
One Voice.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie, hot take. I really, really don't like the album after Happy. And so One Voice is a part of that. So it's like One Voice,
Tomorrow, and
Tomorrow,
then
and
Everything
then,
I Do.
yeah. And Everything I Do is a cover.
Yes,
And I don't know. I really don't like that,
those
like,
last 3, like, you coulda
those
stopped at
last
Happy.
three. I could have stopped. Yeah.
What's so funny, I think, and it's so funny because 'cause I'm not a gospel kid, but there's
Hmm.
something about One Voice and the way the song builds,
Yeah.
and then I was like, "Who sings background?" Because I felt like I thought I heard someone from 112 on there, but CeCe Winans is one of the background vocalists, and I think she did vocal production for that song because it's like a big choir in the back of
Yeah.
it, but I feel you, like, Happy hits and that's a good point because it goes from Happy to One Voice, which is kind of
Yeah.
like a little like, I feel like it to your point, it flows really well, and then Happy to One Voice is an interesting transition.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess if I were to say least favorite tracks, it would be those 3,
Yeah.
but I will let the whole album play, and I'm fine with it
Yeah.
'cause
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if it comes on, I probably know all the lyrics.
Right, right, right. Same. I know the words, but yeah, if someone's putting a gun to my head and they're like, "What are your three least
Least
favorite songs?" I'm
favorite,
like, "All right, take the bottom of the album off or
and
whatever."
top those out.
Yeah. Because also, I feel like with this album, we start off really high tempo or whatever, and then we kind of get into like a mix of like tempo, slow, and then we go back to high tempo,
With
and then
Happy,
it's like
yes,
it's a sharp
yes. 'Cause
decline.
Suicide on Everything goes into, like, the interlude where she's talking to Rodney,
Rodney,
and then he
yeah.
starts playing the beat to Happy. Happy
Yeah,
comes on, and Happy's
yeah.
just like a fun like
Right.
that up-tempo song, and then there really is no transition from
Yeah, which I almost wish they would have moved Happy up.
yes.
And I almost wish they would have put that on everything a little bit down because I feel like that would have been a better transition
Yeah. Listen,
with
we could do a whole
everything.
podcast on how like I have some albums where I like if I could have restructured it like this, I feel like it
Yeah.
would have flowed a little bit better. So I feel you there.
Hmm.
What did you think? What do you think of Have You Ever? I loved it as a single. It wasn't, I can't say it wasn't my favorite. I feel, I don't know how to describe it. I like the song and she
Hmm.
sings the hell out of it.
Yeah.
But for me, again, I think because it's right before Put That on Everything, I'm like, oh, wait,
Yeah.
Put That on Everything should have been the single. I think when I hear Have You Ever and then I'm like, oh, Put That on Everything should have been the one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think they played it up because of Double Platinum.
Yes.
That's the lead song in the movie is her getting this. So I think it was almost like a two for one where like, oh, we're doing this movie and we can probably just shoot whatever we're gonna shoot here, we can probably repurpose it as like our single or whatever. I do love Have You Ever, especially when this album came out. Yeah, my feelings for boys are starting to increase or whatever, and you're definitely like there's boys that you like but they don't like you. And
Mhm.
so I remember being little singing that, like just thinking of that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then as you get older it flows into those breakup
I
songs
mean,
or
it does.
whatever.
It does.
And it's so funny. I never really thought of Never Say Never when I was younger as this album of like unrequited love and like sadness with breakup, but the themes of the album are just really that of a man that's not your man, but he's not your man. And
Girl. I've been there before. I've
right.
definitely been there before. Yes.
It's definitely a situationship
Album,
album.
yes. That's
Yeah,
a good way to
like
put it, yes, because it's never yeah, because there's nothing yeah, that's a good point because there is no, like, love song, like, that's a good
yeah,
point, it's very unrequited versus, like, we do have a situationship and, like,
yeah.
I'm trying to figure it out.
Right,
Trying to
yeah.
figure it out.
Which I feel like at that stage in her life and the age she was when this album came out, you do a lot of those. Your early 20s,
Yeah.
you're definitely in a lot of those. I'm not in a committed relationship, or I'm not even in a relationship where I think this is going to last for a very long time. It's those relationships where it's, this is fun, or at least it starts out as fun, and then
So my
some
feelings get
feelings
in it.
come, and then it's
Yes.
like, I'm not ready for that. So it definitely makes sense. Yeah, I think the only song on this album where you really do feel like she's like happy is Happy, where
That's a good point. Right, I mean, it's the title of the song because yeah, because even Top of the World, she's talking about people basically haters,
right,
right?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
so
we all
yeah,
got them.
Happy's the only one.
Yeah, yeah. Which is funny with that song when she says PhDs, my nieces, they're like, wait, is she in college? Like, no, back in the day we used to call it
Hater,
PhD
hater.
or player hater degree.
Agree, baby.
But
I mean, yeah, like, listen, the 90s was the worst. And baby, the lingo, like,
the fashions,
I
yeah.
mean, because the videos, all the videos, Brandy looked amazing to me for all the videos from the singles. I remember Have You Ever, she had on like that oversized suit.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
Yes.
listen,
And that fur, that burgundy like fur.
yes, yes.
Yes.
Because I think that was the cover of the single actually was her with
Mm-hmm.
that burgundy fur.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember, just to go back to that, Have You Ever, when she hits that note at the end, that's where she really gets me because I'm like, girl, I could cry. Like when she was belting out Have You Ever, like and her runs, like let's just talk about her being the vocal Bible and how many people talk about Brandy's runs and just like that she's their inspiration. I mean, like you said, a lot of the girls wouldn't be here without Brandy. Some of them don't know it because their fave was influenced by Brandy.
Right, right, right. And I think she is very underrated as a vocalist because she's not your Mariah, she's not your Whitney Houston. Like she's not going to like belt out like these like, incredible like, runs or whatnot, but she's just very technical.
Yes.
And so I remember seeing a clip on Instagram or somebody, and it was a podcast too, where they were talking about like, obviously Brandy studied Whitney Houston. And so they kind of equated it to basketball, where Whitney Houston was the Michael Jordan and Brandy is more so like the Kobe Bryant, where, all right, she might not be the greatest of all time or whatnot, and we might not see all these like flashes, but she definitely studied the technicalities of Whitney to make it her own. And in her own right, there was some greatness there.
1,001%. That's actually, I'm not a sports girly, but that's a great way to put it. Joe's a big sports fan. But I think you're right. Like the artists that that we grew up with were watching other artists and like taking
Hmm.
notes. Because one of my faves is Mariah, and I came across a old clip of Beyonce, and Beyonce said when she saw Mariah, she's like, I want to do that because she's like Mariah's singing and writing, and we know Beyonce is an amazing writer and amazing vocalist. So like
And they don't like to admit it,
they
but
don't.
what they
But
don't.
we'll do an episode on Beyonce
Yes.
or a couple.
Yes.
Again, the girls were the young girls were following the established artists and getting inspiration and studying them. They were
Hmm.
studying them
Hmm.
and saying, "How can I make it? How can I do it and make it my own?"
Yes.
Another one of our faves, Faith Evans,
Hmm.
said she studied Karen Clark Sheard. Is who she.
Hmm.
It was all gospel, and actually,
Yep.
I've never listened to gospel, but one time I did hear Karen Clark, and I was like, "Is that Faith Evans?" Because you hear the inspiration, but
Mhm.
it was something about listening to a great artist and wanting to be a great artist that I feel like is what created Brandy and like drove her to be so talented and why we talk about her to this day.
Hmm. Yes. And her mom knew what she was doing as the manager. All
Also,
right.
she had a momager who held it down. Because
Yes.
Brandy
Yes.
had a pretty good run with back to back. I mean, I love all of Brandy's albums. Of course, Never Say Never. I
Hmm.
love Full Moon. We could, we got to come back and do an R&B playback on just Full Moon because that album.
Hmm.
Also that, because again, I'm growing with her. We're not far in age. I'm feeling some of the same things. And I'm like, girl, like, I feel you. I feel you, which is why, again, with a Beyonce, some of them were not far in age. So you do feel like you're growing with these artists, which is why I
Hmm.
think a lot of us stay with them and that they have such longevity. I'm ready for Brandy to put out another album. I'm like, girl, when is it coming? When is it coming? The voice is still there.
Maybe she's tired,
She
She's been
could
at
be.
this, like you said, she's been at this since she was very, very young.
Yes,
And
yes.
like, I mean, granted, Beyonce, she's also been at this very, very young, but there's just certain people who kind of just transcend time. Beyonce obviously being the one and only.
Okay.
And I don't know, yeah, maybe Brand, she's been through a lot,
She has.
marriages that weren't marriages.
I mean, the breakup that kind of inspired. I mean, the speculative breakup and drama that caused this album.
Right, yeah.
I don't want to talk about it because it feels so
Right, yeah, yeah.
messy.
Right. We don't want to
We don't
cease
want
and
to do the
desist
mess.
on the first on the first
No, no,
episode.
no. We're not doing it in a mess. Y'all could Google it to try to figure it out.
Right.
I would like her to do like a Never Say Never anniversary, like something like that, where like a
I would
Never
be
Say Never.
there with my card, my Apple Pay. Like,
Listen, because I've only seen Brandy. Have you ever seen Brandy? I saw her once.
I've never seen her because, again, you're older than my oldest brother.
I will fight you. I will fight you, Phaedra.
But yeah, I was I didn't have the funds. I was too young for any of her concerts. And then when Full Moon had came out, I was in high school, and then she did a few albums after that, but I remember that's when she kind of was like kind of getting away from the limelight because she just had her daughter, things were going on. I know she had some like drama, some legal issues. So I think she just kind of wanted to step out of the limelight for a little bit. And then then she started to come out and started working with some of like the newer artists, like Chris Brown.
Put
Another
it
hot take.
down.
I didn't really like that song. I was like,
You know what?
yeah,
It didn't capture me the way that I was expecting when they were like hyping it up. But I love that album. Like 211 is, I mean, it's one of it's I love the album by Brandy. I can't say it's one of my favorites because it's definitely
yeah,
like Never Say Never, Full Moon,
yeah,
Aphrodisiac. I could
yeah.
still go to that. Aphrodisiac, we could do one on that because that album, I was going through some things and that
Hmm.
album hit me. But I saw her when she did a tour for 211 for the 211 album. I saw her at Howard Theater and I just remember being obsessed because she sounded amazing. She just had this swagger when she was performing, and I feel like she was also she had done some award shows because Whitney had passed. And I don't know if you remember, she did a tribute to Whitney at the BET Awards,
Hmm.
and she ate that up. And like just like vocally to your point again, right? Like she may not have been hitting in the range of Whitney Houston,
Yeah.
but she made it her own because she did like a little medley of songs. Because she also performed, she did that medley at the on the tour too. And it's just to hear her again. She has such good control of her voice.
Yes, that's what I will always, when I think of Brandy, I think about control.
Yes. Just knows how to perform. Like she's someone I would love to see again. Whether she does, I don't know if I could see her doing a residency, but I could see her maybe doing a never say.
Why not?
I mean, I'm not. I'm just saying, not everybody wants to do a residency.
Okay. No, I can see the preference, but I'm
Yes.
like, why wouldn't
No, no,
she
I'm saying
be
she
able
could. I'm saying
to?
not everybody
Yeah.
would, but like if she did a residency, absolutely. Brandy has albums,
Hits.
she has hits, she has deep cuts.
Mm-hmm.
Some artists don't have deep cuts. Like she got deep cuts. Some artists it's just the single. You know what I'm saying? Like she has deep cuts. So I would love Brandy if you ever hear this. Like we would love to see you on tour. If it's
Maybe
not
for
a
the
new album,
30th,
maybe for
she'll
the
do
30th.
it.
If it's not a new album, a tour to celebrate it and just kind of give us like I remember years ago before Mary J. Blige released My Life 2, her like supposed to be follow up to My Life. She went on tour and everybody's like, what is she gonna sing? And I was like, I bet you she's gonna do the whole My Life album. And baby, she did the whole My Life album from the top to the bottom. And that was one of the best shows I've ever been to. And it was very intimate. So even if
That's like
Brandy just did that,
yeah, that's like when I went to a Jay-Z show and all he did was his B-sides. And like that was one of the best shows I've ever gone to. And I wish more artists would do that
yes.
because like yeah, it's great when you see them on tour, but they oftentimes don't do their deep cuts. And so I really wish artists would do intimate shows for the real fans
Okay.
who know those deep cuts. Because I think that's a really great experience too. But also, like, Brandy, if you're listening to this, like, our apartments are available for an intimate tiny desk if you wanted to do that as well.
Girl, I got a cute little setup. I could change it around too if you need to, girl. Like, but what's up? Listen, now she's someone. Speaking of tiny desk, they need to give Brandy a tiny desk.
Hmm.
Faith
I
that
feel like she did it, or did she?
she did.
Or maybe it was an AOL
I think
music.
I think she's no, I think she did. I think she appeared with I want to say Common on a tiny desk. I think it
Okay,
was
okay.
Common, but Brandy needs her own tiny desk.
Yeah,
Let y'all really hear her because I feel like Usher's tiny desk,
yes.
and I don't want to say elevated because Usher's a star, but it
Right, right.
definitely reignited
Mm-hmm.
a desire to see Usher perform. And so I think it
Yes.
would be a good reigniting for if Brandy decides she's going to start doing some type of tour or
Mm-hmm.
residency. It would be a great way to reignite her and also reintroduce her to people that don't know about
Right.
her vocal talent.
Right. Because I do remember that Usher residency tour, the tickets weren't that bad. And then after the tiny desk, it was like $1,000 a
It
seat.
was
And I was
watch
just
this
like,
baby. Them
yeah.
prices went up. Okay,
I was like, oh, okay. Never mind.
right. I'll wait. That was a great show. But yeah, I would love to see her do that. All right. So before we kind of wrap it up,
Hmm.
I know we're kind of talking about new R&B artists and they're not really doing it because my thing is they missing the bridge. I'm sick of these songs that are under 2 minutes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Like, where
Like,
is the extended version?
right. How are you telling a story in under 2 minutes?
You can't. Because where's the climax? So there's no climax anymore? It's flat.
They're not building up to songs anymore.
And I miss that. I want that to come back
Hmm.
so bad. I was watching a clip of Teacher Moses on a podcast
Hmm.
recently.
Love her.
And she was saying, if there's no bridge, how can I sing it in the bathroom? How can I sing it in the
Yeah.
shower? And she said, even as an artist, when I'm singing and I have those songs with the bridge or a long note, I turn the mic to my
Yeah.
fans. No artist now has that where they're like, help me out. Like, because I know you know it. Like I watched recently, I live streamed Mary J's concert, her
Hmm.
tour. And of course, everyone in the crowd knows all Mary songs. So there, she's passed, and that's what I live for, those moments. But with all that being said, who are 3 artists that you think people should be listening to? Oh, wait. Before I go there, before we go into the 3 artists, this was one of my other questions. How would you describe Never Say Never to someone who's never listened to the album?
I mean, I think it's the word I used earlier today, like situationship.
Okay.
Like, yeah, it's a songs for the situationship. Yeah.
Okay. I love that. I love that. Okay, so yes, so about current artists, who are 3 current R&B artists that you think people should check out right now? Or who are you listening to?
Well, I'm on the Leon Thomas. I'm the president of that fan club
Okay,
because
you're the
I've been
president.
listening to him. Been listening to him before he blew up with Mutt, which I'm very very happy with. But you want to talk about like I love male vocalists.
Yes, you do.
Like D'Angelo's Brown Sugar is my favorite album of all time. I love Joe, I love Maxwell, whatever, and he gives me that like reminiscent of that. And also like you could tell he's been working
Yes.
since he was a child and he plays his own instruments or whatever. He's an artist. Again, I don't feel like we have a lot of artists
Yes. I feel you.
anymore. So I love that about him. But now I got to look at my phone and see what I've been listening to really say who I love R&B wise. Cuz you know what? I'm not going to lie to you, Das. I'm very much one of those like millennial people who are like, "You know what? You guys can have what you guys got going on
Girl,
here."
I'm not gonna front. I'm the same. In my house is always 90s R&B going.
Mhm.
I have on my TV, Samsung has, channels that come with the TV, and one of them is classic R&B, and B, and it's all 90s, baby. Like, I had my homegirl came over, she was like, what channel is this? It's so good. I said, girl, it's Samsung playing the classics, Donnell Jones,
Mhm.
702, Maya, like, it's really like Yeah, so I feel you.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to shit on the new artists, but
But
it's
yeah,
kind of hard to get into some of them.
yeah, but I like him. I like Naomi Sharon.
Yes, yes.
Love, love, love her voice. I don't like when they do the Sade
I was
comparisons.
about to ask you, and I didn't want to go there.
I don't like when they even did that with Snow Allegra, who I absolutely adore, but I hate when people do the Sade comparisons because there is only one Sade, and
Period.
there will never be another. Let's do that. And then I'm going through my thing, and I'm like, who do I even listen to? Because, like I said, I really just listen to what I got.
I want to throw one out to you because I mean, I don't want to steal it from you, but because we went to see her together. Summer Walker.
Summer Walker. You know what? I love Summer. I just wish
Because let me,
she would not talk because some of the things I'm just like
you're like,
no,
girl, why
no.
you say that, girl?
Yeah,
This
like
is
I
where
just
people don't have A&R.
mm-hmm. Like back in the day, and that's also another thing with social media. Everybody just feels like they got to talk
And you don't.
and they got to put their opinions out there. You
You
don't. You
don't.
don't.
You don't.
I loved back in the day Whitney sang. She might have did an interview here and there, and then that was it. She wasn't on her TikTok or her
Or
Instagram lives
tweeting.
talking about 5G towers are the reason COVID happened. Like I don't I don't need that.
That's,
And we could probably end the show there
I think we
because
can shut it down there. I think it's shut it down there. But this has been so much fun. Thank
yes,
you for
this was
doing the first episode with me.
of course. And I will be back, especially when we go to Beyonce, because if you pick anybody else to talk about
I would
Renaissance
not.
but me, I'm gonna be at your door.
I would not, because I feel like you and I need to talk about Faith Evans' first album together. I already knew when I asked you that I was gonna have you on multiple times because I'm like, I love all my friends, I love them dearly. When it comes to music, though, like I need people that like want to dissect and go in there with me, and I
Yes.
feel like you and I, and it's always happened casually since we've known each other. We would just start
Yes.
talking about stuff, and it'd be like, this. Did you know who did this? You know the background. We'd always go there. So I love that like you did my first episode with me. I knew this was gonna be great because I know my girl
Yeah.
got personality,
Yes.
the cute face, and she knows 90s R&B, babies.
Yes. The girls who get it, as they
Okay.
say.
Oh my God, Joe. Well, thank you. This was the first episode of R&B Playback. I hope you guys like it, and I'm gonna continue
Make
with
sure to
more.
subscribe,
Subscribe, like, and
like,
comment.
share. Yeah.
Yeah, and share. I
Yeah.
gotta remember to set my little tagline at the end, show.
Yeah.
All right, Joe. Love you.
Love you too. Bye.